Hello. So I'm doing another tape here. The reason I'm making this tape is I had a comment from somebody asking how exactly I set up the mechanism so that you had a motor turning, pulling multiple lines at the same time, and they didn't get all in knots and stuff. So this is a box I built. I'll go through this one and then talk a little bit about the other ways I do it, because they're all exactly pretty much the same. So in the center here, what you're going to see is there's a Monster Guts, I'll give them a plug, motor, and this right here is a speed controller, and you can look it up online, just a speed controller for a DC motor. I got those I think at eBay, and they're no more than 10 bucks a piece, and because the motors from Monster Guts have just 2 different speeds, and even the slowest one I think is a little bit too fast for some of the stuff I do, and I like having the ability to turn it on and off and actually just slow it way down if I want. So like the person's question was, so how do you attach all the strings? Well, right here, this is just a bolt through. This is just some aluminum metal that I bought at Lowe's, and this just is a washer that I've cut or drilled holes through, and I'll attach the lines to that. They come out on this one. I actually set up little pulleys because for this prop, the lines actually come up through the pulleys and go vertical, and then they go across, and there's some mummies I have hanging from a tree, and those go up and down, and this is actually on the ground behind the tree, and this is turning by itself, and then those lines go up over a couple pulleys and then pull the mummies, or the up and down, the ghosts up and down. But like on the one for the graveyard, which I talked about earlier, instead of having these pulleys, I just have little eye hooks, and then the lines run through, and then they go out. And in the case of the one for the graveyard, there's actually 7 they could do. So how this works is, so you just turn it on. Again, you can control the speed. As you can see, it just goes around. It's really simple stuff, and as you can kind of picture, it's pulling those lines forward and back, depending on like my mummies. The weight of the mummies themselves is what pulls it down. So all this, I don't need any mechanism to pull them back and forth. On the graveyard ones, like I mentioned in the earlier videos, I used rubber bands just for tension to pull them back. So this is pulling on the rubber bands. When it pulls it one way, the rubber bands are pulling it back, and then that's taking up the slack of this little like I said, this is just a controller. You can go really, really slow, or you can speed it up as fast as you want, which is nice. And then, like I said, you can turn it off too. So now the other thing is, in the case of my spiders, I don't have this box. I just have the motor and the speed controller mounted to a piece of plywood, and that actually hangs or screwed into the overhang of my house, and then it's above all my spider props, and then same thing, it just goes through a bunch of different eye hooks all throughout that whole spider prop. I'll probably post a video of that prior to Halloween in the next couple of weeks to show you how that one works, because I've got that working. I think there's like 16 lines coming to the motor assembly because it's moving all the different legs of the spiders, and I think there's 8 different spiders. So same thing, you've got multiple different ones running just one motor. So hopefully that answers your question. Like I said, it's just really simple, just some thin, I think that's 2-inch or 1.5 inch aluminum with a bolt through it with a big washer with holes drilled through it. You can use fishing line. I've used black twine, nylon twine, which is really good. So any of that will all work. It's really all simple stuff. So any other questions, let me know.